So, we got your request to take a deep dive into ancient Egyptian astronomy. And I'll be honest, my first thought was, oh boy, pyramids. But then I dug into this article, why and how did the ancient Egyptians use astronomy? And let me tell you, it is so much more than just pyramids.
It really is.
It's fascinating.
We often think of astronomy as a modern science, but the ancient Egyptians were making incredible discoveries thousands of years ago. And what's really interesting to me is how intertwined their understanding of the cosmos was with, their daily lives.
Totally. Yeah, it wasn't just intellectual curiosity. They were using it for very practical things, like the pyramids, for example. We all know they're aligned with the stars, but this article gets into how they actually achieved that level of precision. They used a tool called a Mercator.
Right.
Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so the Mercator, it was essentially an astronomical sighting tool. And picture two pieces of wood that are joined at a right angle with a plumb line hanging down. And by sighting along the Mercator and aligning it with certain stars, they can actually determine true north with, honestly, amazing accuracy. And this was crucial for aligning not only the pyramids, but also their temples and other important structures.
It's incredible the level of planning and skill that must have gone into that, especially without, the kinds of technology that we have today.
Absolutely. A great example of this is the Great Pyramid at Giza.
Of course.
The alignment is nearly perfect. It's really a testament to their astronomical knowledge.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just about orientation. Egyptians believed that this alignment actually helped to channel divine energy from the stars,
Yeah.
connecting their monuments to the cosmos.
So it's like these pyramids were infused with celestial significance on top of the engineering feat that they are.
Exactly. And speaking of celestial significance, there's a theory that the layout of the Giza pyramids might actually mirror the constellation Orion.
I was reading about that, yeah, and Orion being significant because of...
Osiris, the god of the afterlife.
Oh, right.
It's thought that they saw the pyramids as a physical representation of Duat, the underworld.
Yeah.
So again, that connection between the earthly and the celestial.
Wow. That adds like a whole other level to resting under the stars, doesn't it?
It does.
Right.
But their fascination with the night sky went way beyond these like monumental structures.
Sure.
They actually used their celestial observations for something that I think we all use every day.
Yeah.
Keeping time.
Oh, that's right. Their star clock. And what I think is interesting is they didn't just adopt some other system. Like they developed their own constellations, right? Separate from like the Greeks or the Mesopotamians.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine looking up at the night sky and seeing a completely different set of figures and stories.
Right.
So they divided the night into 36 decans, groups of stars that rose sequentially. And each decan would rise about 40 minutes later each night.
Wow.
Which allowed them to track time.
Oh, wow. So they could actually tell time by the stars. That's amazing. And did they use that or connect that to any particular event or cycle?
They did. And this is where it gets, even more impressive. So they noticed a connection between the annual flooding of the Nile, which is obviously crucial for their agriculture.
Of course.
And the rising of Sirius. Sirius is also known as the dog star, and it's the brightest star in the sky.
So when Sirius rose, that's when they knew, like, okay, it's time to plant.
Essentially. And this event marked their new year, and it actually led to their 365-day calendar.
Wow.
Which is pretty similar to our own.
Yeah.
Again, it just goes to show, how they were observing these celestial events and connecting them with their lives.
It really highlights how advanced and how sophisticated their understanding of the cosmos was. And so we've talked about the pyramids, we've talked about timekeeping. What other tools besides the Mercator did they use to make these observations?
Well, they did have other tools.
Okay.
And you might actually be surprised how familiar some of them sound.
Mm-hmm.
They use sundials,
Right.
which track time through the movement of the sun's shadow, of course.
Yeah.
And they also used water clocks,
Okay.
known as clepsydras,
Clepsydras.
which measure time based on the flow of water from one vessel to another.
It's wild to think about these ancient tools, developed thousands of years ago, still being the basis for how we measure time today. Although I guess we've gotten a bit more sophisticated with our atomic clock.
We have indeed.
Right.
But the Egyptians, they also developed tools that were specifically for mapping and understanding the stars.
Okay.
One such tool
Yeah.
was called the Bay and Imi Unt.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
What did that one do?
So it helped them to pinpoint the location of specific stars.
Okay.
It was a long rod-like instrument
Okay.
with a V-shaped slot at one end.
Got it.
And by sighting through this slot, they could align the tool with a particular star and mark its position.
Ah, so this was like their star map-making tool.
Exactly.
Okay.
They used it to track the movements of circumpolar stars,
Circumpolar stars.
stars that never rise or set,
Okay.
but appear to circle around the celestial pole.
Ah, like Polaris, the North Star.
Precisely.
Got it.
By observing these stars, they could establish a fixed reference point in the sky,
Okay.
which was essential for their astronomical calculations and for aligning their structures.
Yeah. It's amazing how they develop such sophisticated tools for observation, just incredible ingenuity.
It really is a testament to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so far, we've mostly focused on how the Egyptians used astronomy for things like aligning pyramids and telling time.
Right.
But I'm curious, was this knowledge limited to, say, priests and architects? Or was there a wider fascination with astronomy in ancient Egyptian culture?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to just how pervasive astronomy was in their society.
Hmm.
It wasn't just a tool for the elite. It was woven into the fabric of their culture.
Okay.
And one particular discovery provides evidence of this.
Okay.
A star map found in the tomb of Senenmut.
Senenmut.
Yes.
Remind me, who was that again?
He was a powerful official.
Okay.
The vizier or the chief advisor to Queen Hatshepsut,
Hatshepsut. Okay.
essentially second in command.
Right.
And they found a star map in his tomb.
Wow, in his tomb.
Yes. And this wasn't just a simple doodle.
Okay.
It depicted constellations, decanal stars, even planets.
Oh, wow.
Provides clear evidence that the Egyptians, even high-ranking officials like Senenmut,
Yeah.
were deeply interested in and knowledgeable about the cosmos.
That's like finding like a detailed map of the solar system in someone's attic today.
Right.
Like you'd have to assume they were pretty passionate about astronomy to have that.
Ex-
So they were decorating their tombs with star maps. That's incredible.
It really shows how central it was to their worldview.
It really does. And speaking of individuals who are passionate about astronomy, the article mentions some notable Egyptian astronomers.
Yes.
Would you like to hear about a few of them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, who were some of the big names in ancient Egyptian astronomy?
Well, one fascinating figure was Ibn Yunus.
Ibn Yunus.
Yes. He dedicated years to meticulously tracking the sun's position
Okay,
using an astrolabe.
so he was an early astronomer focused on the movements of the sun?
Yes, he was.
Okay, and what kind of impact did his work have?
His observations, especially his meticulous records of eclipses, were so accurate
Wow.
that they laid the groundwork for future astronomers.
Oh, wow.
He's considered a pioneer in the field of observational astronomy.
Wow, that's incredible. What about other notable astronomers?
Sure.
Do any of them focus on other celestial bodies?
They did. Another intriguing figure is Ali ibn Ridwan,
Okay.
a physician who made a remarkable observation in the year 1006 AD.
A physician who made an observation.
He did.
What was it?
He documented the appearance of a supernova.
Wait a minute, a supernova?
Yes.
As in a star exploding?
Precisely.
Oh my God.
And this wasn't just any supernova. This was the brightest supernova ever recorded in human history,
Wow.
known today as SN 1006.
SN 1006.
Yes.
Wow. Imagine the night sky being illuminated by this incredibly powerful cosmic event.
Can you imagine?
That must have been an awe-inspiring and probably a little terrifying sight.
It must have been.
How did they interpret such an event?
You're right, it likely inspired a mix of awe and fear.
Right?
Ibn Ridwan saw this supernova as a potential bad omen, which highlights how astronomy and astrology were intertwined for them.
Right.
They looked to the stars not only for knowledge, but for meaning and guidance as well.
That makes sense. If you saw a giant star explode out of nowhere, you might start to wonder what it meant for you down here on Earth. So they were trying to find connections between these celestial happenings and their lives on Earth.
They were.
It speaks to their desire to understand, their place in the grand scheme of the cosmos.
It does.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just about predicting good or bad fortune.
Okay.
Their astronomical knowledge also had very practical applications.
Like what?
Take, for example, the work of Najm al-Din al-Misri,
Okay.
a 14th century astronomer
Okay.
who compiled a comprehensive work detailing over 100 different astronomical instruments.
Wow, that sounds like a treasure trove of astronomical knowledge.
It is.
100 instruments.
His work represents a significant contribution to the scientific understanding of the cosmos,
Yeah,
and it showcases the Egyptians' continued dedication to advancing their astronomical knowledge even centuries after the construction of the pyramids.
that's incredible. It's remarkable to think about the legacy of these ancient astronomers.
It is.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive,
We have.
from pyramids and calendars to supernovas and ancient astronomers.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is, and it's clear that the ancient Egyptians were far from casual stargazers.
They were very dedicated.
They were. But when it comes to their actual astronomical discoveries, what would you say were some of their most significant accomplishments? What did they get right just by observing the night sky?
It's important to remember they were making these discoveries without telescopes or anything. They were
Yeah.
working with the naked eye.
Yeah.
But even so, they were able to make some remarkable observations.
Like what?
Well, we talked about their constellations, right?
Yeah, their own unique constellation.
They identified 43,
Okay.
which is pretty impressive considering we recognize 88 today.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of the sky.
It is.
What about planets? Did they know about those?
They did. They were aware of 5
Okay.
in our solar system:
Which ones?
Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn.
Okay, so the ones that are, I guess, visible
Exactly.
to the naked eye.
And here's something really interesting. They even understood some of the complexities of planetary motion.
Really? Like
Retrograde motion.
retrograde motion. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
Okay, so imagine you're watching a car race,
Okay.
and one car overtakes another.
Right?
For a short time as they pass each other, the car in the lead might appear to be moving backward.
Right, relative to the other car, even though it's moving forward.
Exactly.
Okay, I get that. But how does that apply to planets?
Well, from our perspective on Earth, as we orbit the sun, planets like Mars can sometimes appear to move backward
Uh-huh.
in their orbits
Okay.
for a certain period of time.
Interesting.
It's an optical illusion, basically,
Wow.
caused by the relative positions and speeds of Earth and Mars.
Okay.
But the Egyptians, through careful observation, were able to recognize this
Wow.
and even account for it.
So they figured that out just by watching.
They were incredibly astute observers,
Wow, that's amazing.
and their ingenuity, it might even go further than we realize. Well, did you know that some of the earliest evidence of lenses,
Okay.
the precursors to telescopes,
Right.
actually dates back to ancient Egypt?
No way. So they were even on the path to developing like more advanced optical instruments?
It's possible.
That's incredible.
It really makes you wonder what else they might have discovered.
Right. With the right tools?
Exactly, if they'd had access to even the basics of what we have today.
It's really mind-blowing.
The ancient Egyptians' knowledge of astronomy, their observations, their tools,
Yeah.
it all laid the foundation for centuries of astronomical discovery.
Wow, what a really fascinating deep dive this has been.
It has.
We've gone from the alignment of the pyramids to the intricacies of planetary motion.
We have. It's amazing.
And it's so clear that the ancient Egyptians' understanding of astronomy, it wasn't just this like esoteric knowledge.
Right.
It was really intertwined with their daily lives, their beliefs, their understanding of the universe.
It was fundamental to their whole worldview.
It really was.
Inspiring, isn't it?
It is. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of the cosmos.
And the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians.
Exactly. Until next time, keep exploring.